5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yo. How's it going, man?
What's up, man? How's it going with you?
Man, you know, I'm just chilling, man. Welcome to Baba Sucia, man. We got the illustrious guest, you know, the flyest performer you will ever seen that shines brighter, man. Eric, yo, how's it going, man?
Good, man. Happy to be here, man, honestly.
Yo,
I'm excited.
So, man, let me ask you this. Where you from?
I'm from Union City, New Jersey, born and raised.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let the people know, like, how was it growing up in Union City?
I mean, honestly, it was dope just because it's a small community. It's only like 48 blocks big, 48 street blocks. Mm-hmm. So definitely it's like, and by the time that we got to high school, they had like a big high school and everything. Mm-hmm. So everybody mostly knows each other. It's a big Hispanic community. For a lot of the businesses, a lot of local businesses, which is nice. A lot of good restaurants, good food. But yeah, I just love it. Everyone there speaks Spanish all the time, so it's cool. Like
you can kind of you can move it like this, like if you want closer to you.
All right.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. You see?
I heard it right away.
I want you to sound good, man. I want you to sound good.
Absolutely. Please don't make me. Don't have me out here looking crazy.
Nah, never that. But yeah, man, so like you said you was growing up with like a lot of Hispanics when you was young.
So, and it's crazy because I think growing up too, especially being around Hispanics so many times, you don't realize how convenient knowing Spanish is and how like much you're going to need that as a skill, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's cool. It's definitely, it's made me who I am now. And so I appreciate it. I love where I come from.
Yo, so like, let's just jump into this. So let's get started with this. So how did you, tell us how you got started in your upbringings and how it led you to like dancing and how you became a performer.
Yeah. So, my dancing really started with this Colombian group that I danced with called Orquídea de Oro.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to La Vieja Nudis. But yeah, I started maybe around like second grade, and it was just a Colombian folk dance group. So we danced like cumbia and different Colombian styles like mapalé and everything like that. And that was kind of like my first part of actually being a part of something that had me. So we danced like cumbia and different Colombian styles like mapalé and everything like that. And that was kind of like my first part of actually being a part of something that had me performing consistently. And then from there, I stayed there maybe until I was like a sophomore-ish in high school.
Damn, so you stayed there like as a legend. And then you just retired. You was like...
High school got crazy, and I was like, yeah. But because I started dancing more in high school, actually, because they had like a Latin dance team, so I was a part of that called Latin Fire. And then we also had a step team in high school, so I started stepping and strolling. Like that's where I learned how to step and stroll essentially. Okay. And then my dance teacher from high school, Kristen Pinello, who I love, she just saw me performing one day and she was basically like, you need to take one of my classes. And it was like very beginner intro to dance and stuff, but that's where I first learned like about ballet and jazz and modern and even hip hop and stuff like that.
Real hip hop.
Right. And she had us dancing in that little studio in Union City. You know what I'm saying? At Union City High School. But yeah, she basically convinced me and my parents. Well, she convinced my parents, and then my parents ended up like talking to me, saying that I should audition for a college program. She was kind of just like, oh, like, what are you going to do? What do you want to do like after high school and stuff like that? And I was just like, I don't know, to tell you the truth. I wanted to go into business. I wanted to go into maybe communications. Like I was just super unsure of what to do. And, she was just like, oh, you should audition for a program. And I told her that I thought she was crazy because I was like, I don't really know anything about dance. And I'm going to be auditioning like with people who have been training their whole life, you know? But she was just like, nah, like a lot of schools just want like men, especially with potential, because a lot of programs don't have a lot of guys. So they try to get as much guys as they can.
So wait, hold up. So you're basically telling me that if I would have just been like, yo, let me just go do dancing, I could have had a free scholarship? Like, bro,
if you could fake it till you make it, right? If
I would have faked it the whole way through.
Yep. Probably,
cause I got a good 2-step. It's just it runs in my fam. Like we got good. I could follow the routine.
Yeah, you just need rhythm and know how to execute something, and that's it.
Damn.
You know, not that's it, but
yeah, but like you were saying with the story.
But not yet. So I ended up auditioning for Rutgers and Montclair dance program, and I got into both. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to major in dance now. And I ended up going to Montclair State. And that's like when I really began training and like really, really actually got introduced to like ballet and modern and just the world of dance.
But a question, like, how did you fall in love with dancing? Because like, I could give you an example, right? Like, I used to play football, and the way I fell in love with football, it was like, I had to get, like, they destroyed me my first year. Like, I got killed. Like, my first year, I got stomped on. Like, motherfuckers was hurting me straight up.
That's why I didn't play football.
No. I had to play. I was like, I had to because it ran in my family. Everybody played it. Like, one of my cousins, who's a bro, he also played it back then.
Yeah.
So, like, I got rocked a lot. So, like, through him, he really got me into playing. So, I was like, all right, let me just play it. But, like, how did you fall in love with it? Like, what was the first thing you did? Like,
honestly, that's a hard question. Like, for me, I think my favorite thing is just performing. And so I think really the performance aspect of it is what made me fall in love with it. Cause I just like as a kid, and I mean, even now, like I love performing. Like there's nothing like the feeling and like getting in preparation mode to get on stage and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like there's really nothing like that. So, and then I like really started experiencing it like more in college. You know, then like I was just like I knew that it was something that I wanted to do. And even now, like people are like, oh, like what do you want to do? Like, do you want to go to grad school and stuff like that? And I'm just like, right now, I just really want to perform as much as I can, because that's what I love doing. Just performing.
Yeah, man. And I'll be honest with you, though, what's lucky with, we were talking earlier, like what's lucky with you is that like your career path is not like a regular career path like everybody else's. Like, bro, they will literally call you at any moment and be like, yo, we need you to go fly out to this country. Like, yeah, we know, but we need you to, you need to understand, we need you to fly. We don't care if you got, like, you got some commitment, that's cool. That's why I got to get you early, bro. I had to get you early. I had to get you early. But you know that, and I understand how that is, because you know I have, like I said, like my father and stuff. So like, do you get any random calls like in the middle of the night, like that they'd be like, "Yo, like, are you ready to go fly out? Are you ready for the show?"
Definitely not in the middle of the night, because I put my phone on do not disturb. Nah, but whatchamacallit, sometimes, I mean, I think a lot of gigs that have come up that have been like really shocking. You know, like a lot, I mean, it's kind of like I was telling you earlier, like even sometimes now, like I still get gigs and I'm like, okay, I can't believe I'm doing this, but those calls do happen, and things like that really do happen. Like my friend Elijah, he told me to send an email. He found out basically about like a television opportunity, and they needed guys, and he sent me this actually happened around midnight. He like sent me a DM on Instagram like explaining what I had to do or whatever, so I sent it that like same night, and literally like the next day, like they were calling me back like, you need to confirm if you're available to do this or not, like by 6 o'clock, and it was like 5.
They're like,
I was like, all right, I guess I'm doing it, and I had to, you know, drop stuff or whatever.
May I ask for what it was the show for?
Yeah, it was for Pose, for FX's Pose.
The category is live, work, pose.
Fuck out of here, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my first television opportunity this year, and it was during COVID.
What?
You know what I mean? So it was crazy. We had to I mean, it's COVID, so we literally had to go up to the Bronx like every other day to get tested. Even though we were only on set for one day, but we had to get tested like every other day the week before. And yeah, we were part of. They needed like 30 guys because we were part of a gay men's chorus, basically. But it was nuts. It was crazy. It was my first time doing anything.
How was the feeling? Like, that's the feeling. Like, how was that feeling? Like, just being on TV, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different than performance, like live performance, because like live performance, you get one shot to get on stage, you give it all you got in that moment, and then once you're off, the show's done. But with this, I mean, like I said, it was my first time doing that, so it just like really opened my eyes to what that world was like and what working for like that world is like. And that's why I really give it up to actors and people like in movies and films and stuff, because it was just 2 scenes that we did. So I'm probably not gonna be in there for more than like 2 minutes combined, or like
when we find it, I will put it up.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, I'll get that quick clip.
Right here.
Look at him, he's right there. He's right there.
So, but we were there like almost all day. We went in at 5:30 in the morning and we left like at 11 o'clock at night. And just doing the same things kind of over and over. And
yep, that's how it is. How many takes? Like 100, probably like 20,000 takes, right?
It sounds about right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
a lot. It was a lot.
Like that, I could expect that because like you're making a show, a TV show, and like I go to school for that, so like that's literally what my major is all about. It's like about theater and like doing plays and like writing out like lights, all this like all that type of stuff. So I could just imagine like the hours they probably had you, and did they have you dancing, or was it just straight up just singing?
No, I actually wasn't dancing. Okay. I was just standing, singing, and like pretending to be a part of this chorus.
So like you were saying with the dancing, you was moving around, and what happened? Like with your hamstring?
We actually weren't dancing. I was just standing, and by the end of the day, my hamstring was so tight. But yeah, I wasn't dancing, but it was still a good time. It was cool. I actually got to meet a lot of people on Broadway there. So it was dope just, actually being around people during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And like still like being able to like, just like network, talk, meet people while doing that show. And it's crazy because it's their last season now too. So we were able to be a part of the last season, which is nice.
Bro, at least you're a part of that, man, because being a part of that season, bro, the final one is always the best one because it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, exactly. And it's for the final episode also.
But question.
So that feels pretty badass.
And when they told you that, like, yo, you're going to be on the last episode, were you like, oh, I'm legend?
I was just like, this is crazy. Because like I said, everything happened so fast. Everything just happened so fast. Like, as soon as they called me asking if I was going to do it or not, and I said, yeah, then like immediately they like send you emails. And it was just like nonstop email after email after email after email after email, like so much paperwork.
Release forms.
Yeah, everything. So much, like just a lot.
Do not bring out your phone. I swear to God, if we catch you with your phone now, you're going to get sued. Bro, they don't play that. They do not play that at all in those production teams. It's
wild. But it's cool. I mean, I feel like that's the type of attention that like everything should get. Because at least in my industry, like in concert dance, like we don't really have that much attention like that, like they do. So it's just nice. And at the end of the day, these people are getting a big bang for it. Like these people are getting paid a lot, So
exactly,
that's what it all comes down to. They work.
Okay. So like you've been doing all this stuff. So like with dancing and performing and just. But I have one question. What was the first dance that you got introduced to that you were like, oh man, I can't believe I learned this first? Like you were like, oh man, like you sit back now, you were like, oh damn, I can't believe. Like, do you ever feel like embarrassed of certain dances that you did back then or no?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so like.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, let me know how that was. Explain to me how that was.
Freshman year. Okay, so like I said, like going into college, I didn't really know what to expect out of dance, like being a dance major, because I didn't train in dance and stuff like that. I wasn't really familiar with what the dance world was.
So you were like for example, you would be more of a freestyle type of, like you were freestyle back then, right?
I didn't know what I was.
Oh, so you was
I was this dude who used to do Colombian dances and then did friggin' like salsa and stuff in high school and now is in college for dance like that. So, but freshman year of college, there was this piece I was in is called Central Park in the Dark.
Central Park in the Dark is one section of a larger work called Scenes from the Music of Charles Ives. She choreographed it
By a choreographer called Anna Sokolow, and it's a really old piece, but it was very it's just like very, very like postmodern and super. we were like in these green unitards, and I'm still a little chunky freshman year,
freshman
and
20.
like right, and I just don't know like my dancer body, and they had us just doing like tendus, which is like just like stretching our, like just standing and stretching our feet, and I was like front and center and just like serious. It was just like I was like, what
The fuck is
what
this?
am I doing? And it was like, I think it was the first piece in the show. And I remember like some of my boys from home went to go see the show. And I was like, this is the first thing they're going to see me doing on stage. It was funny.
Was it embarrassing?
I don't know if it was embarrassing as much as I was just like, I just didn't understand it. I'm sure that even if I approach the dance now, you know what I mean? Like I'd have like maybe hopefully a better perspective on like how to go about it. But I was just like, what? I just didn't really understand what I was doing. And like I felt / I knew I looked crazy.
Yeah, man.
But I mean, you have to have your fair share of things on stage, especially during college. Like if anything, that's the time to do all those weird things.
Was it hard like learning like the first steps, like when you were dancing at first?
It was, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, I keep on saying this, but just really my time at school, like it was, a lot of it was just like fake it till you make it. You know what I mean? Because like everyone or most people like had been training and doing stuff their whole lives. So, teachers are throwing things at you that obviously like you should be able to do at this point when you're training. And a lot of those things, it was like my first time ever seeing that. So I'm just like, oh, I guess I'm doing it right. So yeah, I mean, just, I feel like almost everything that I learned my freshman year, it was just, everything was so new to me. And just actually training, to like actually training you to use your body, that's different. It's just really different.
Okay. So like basically when you first started like doing it, it was just more like you were just like natural with it. It's basically like when like you ever seen like those people that just like are naturals at things, like you were like you just tell them like, yo, here, like like for example, like I always use sports because that's like what I normally could compare certain things to.
Right.
And this is you can much compare it to sports. Like those type of people that come onto your football team and you're like, yo, bro, what? Like I didn't know you was nice.
Right.
Like if I knew you was this nice, I would have been like, what? Like you never played? You sure? You sure?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, so I guess so.
because you look like
I guess that's what happened.
you look like you got that body type, like that random body type that you could throw it anywhere and it could do anything you needed to do, like with sports or like dancing or like performing or whatever it is. Because it also like when you were saying like the piece that you were performing, it reminds me of like when I had to do poetry too. Like what was the name of the dance?
Central Park in the Dark.
Yeah, that you was like, oh, that's a piece that you have to learn. I was like, whoa, that like literally reminds me of acting. Like certain parts, like it's very much performing is like the same thing as acting. I feel like.
I mean, yeah. It's very similar. At the end of the day, you have to, like for example, in acting, they give you a script. You got to memorize the script, and you got to embody it in a certain way, according to a lot of things, according to the space, according to your audience, blah blah blah. But it's the same thing in dance. They give us steps we have to learn. They give us choreography that we have to learn, and we have to perform it a certain way. Or sometimes they just say, oh, like do this how you want to do it. And then you get to, do your own thing. But yeah, it's really similar to acting. At the end of the day, too, we both get on stage. Our body is both of our instruments, too. So yeah, it's literally a human art,
So like basically when you first started dancing, right? Were you like on a dance team or like did you practice by yourself first? Like did you already know how to dance? Like because I know you Colombian and I know your parents were not gonna let you walk out of a house without not knowing how to dance.
Absolutely not.
So like was it like that with you? Like
yeah, I mean growing up, like you know how family parties are. It's just music. Like it's my family too. We just love music.
Music and aguardiente if you're going to a Colombian house party.
That's exactly what it is. So yeah, like even my grandma took care of me a lot growing up, and she would have us dance with her. Like she would just put music on and she'd be like, "Párense, let's go." So definitely, and just being at home, you know, like you know how it is. Saturday morning, your parents are cleaning and they just got like music blasting.
Like, why do you hate us?
But yeah, I mean, my family's just very much like that too. I guess like in terms of like social aspect too. Like, there's always like music in the background, like with people over, even if it's not like a party, like maybe just like music in the background, blah blah blah. My uncle is a musician too.
Oh, how's that?
Well, he was a musician. Rest in peace. So he was a musician. So my cousin Erica is a musician also.
So it like runs in your family. Oh, you have to be artistic then, like in a musical, artistic way.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. Yeah, like Erica and her sister Haley, they both play instruments. But yeah, Erica like went to Berkeley for music on Full Ride. And definitely, I mean, literally everyone in our family knows how to dance. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I can't dance no salsa, no bachata. Yeah, I'm terrible. I'm like, I swear to God, I can only dance like bachata, but side to side, like old school as fuck. I hate it when people start doing like the little step thingy. I'm like, yo, that's not Dominican. Yeah. That's not what we do. We get drunk as hell and we dance real close, like very close. That's about it. That's about how far I could go. My grandfather taught me like this, and that's the only way I know how to dance it.
I love bachata.
Nah, man, it's the best dance ever, man.
I love salsa too. I mean, you got to get into salsa.
Salsa like makes me feel like Salsa makes me feel like I'm in the 80s and I just did blow and they threw me they threw me out on the dance floor to go dance it. Like, I'm like, I gotta move. I'm like, nah.
But that's why you going off. Like,
that shit makes, like, bro, I feel like I just did like, what? Like, I just feel like I did an 8-ball. Like,
Up, man. Fuck. Where the fucking blow at?
nah, man. nah, I ain't doing all that.
And
we don't do that out here, though.
Salsa was crazy. Sometimes you look at like old salsa videos like from the 70s or 80s, and like you like see them like doing coke on stage and stuff.
Bro, I don't know. You know Willie Colon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
bro, Willie Colon was out when they went to Africa to go do like a salsa show, and like Willie Colon, like literally you see him like guiding the group, and you could tell he's high off the coke. Like he's done up. Like it's crazy.
I mean, he's. And Hector Lavoe, like they, if you see, there's videos on YouTube. I kid you not, there's videos of YouTube of Hector Lavoe in concert, and you just see him swiping his nose, that like literally walking to the side, boom, take a bump, keep it
bro,
going.
It's crazy.
Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Nah, but if you ever seen so like with the video I was telling you about, this dude with Willie Colon and them. He was with Seria, like when he was bringing out Seria Cruz, right? He brings her out and Seria Cruz is just looking at him like, bruh, what the fuck? Like, you good, bro? Like, he's just moving. He's really like going off, and I'm like, yo, this dude is really like, you could tell it's like you said, like they'll be doing blow like if it was like yesterday.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, yo, that's crazy. And like I be thinking, I'm like, yo, this is how they used to perform back then.
Yeah, all the time.
Yo, let me ask you this, like, you know how like music and like the like film industry, right? You know how like a lot of like actors, they got like these issues and stuff. Like, what do you like? Do they have like those type of issues in dancing? Like you know how like hip hop, the drug game is like lean. What's like the thing that they give like the dancers like normally like, oh man, he's off that? Like,
I mean, to be honest, at least in like the type of work that I've done, I haven't really encountered like anything to that extent in terms of like giving a dancer something to, you know, try to
like bring him up.
Yeah.
No, the only reason why I asked that, and it's not even because I'm like saying like, oh, do dancers do that? No, because they probably don't, because you guys are moving 110%. If y'all on something, y'all gonna probably die and drop.
Because something or on coffee.
yeah.
I feel like a lot of dancers that I know, we just drink so much coffee.
Nah,
because we're always doing something.
Exactly. Like you guys are like I feel like if you guys are like dancers, anything that involves physical movement, like I feel like they don't be really doing that. But I just ask because it's like, you know, I'm in that industry, so I'll just be like, oh, I always ask like rappers. I'll be like, oh, so what do y'all like? What are people doing now? Like, I had a rapper on, and we were talking about like how the game is like now all these gangster rappers, they're getting shot and killed left and right. So that's why I was just asking. Like, it was just like a question that I always ask like people.
Nah, it's not. I mean, Because also you give a dancer some crazy shit and then fuck around and drop somebody in rehearsal. That's a whole liability.
Yeah, question. You ever been dropped at rehearsal?
Probably. Yeah.
What's one of the worst like injuries you've had that you were like, yo, this shit hurt?
Oh, I mean, a few years ago I got injured. My left hip, I was on stage and basically like while I was performing, I shifted too far to one side. And I guess my hip just popped in and out, and I just had to. It was in the beginning of the piece, and there was still like maybe like 10-ish minutes left to dance. But that was terrible. It took me a long time to come back from that, and even now, like after that injury, like I put so much clothes on, like when I'm dancing, because I just want to make sure that like I'm warm and my body's okay and stuff like that. And what else? I mean, in terms of bad injuries, like while I was dancing, that was one. And then last year too, I hurt my right ankle, but I have tendonitis now. So, but that was more so just like, I think of just like overusing it and being tired and not getting enough rest and probably not eating enough too. Cause I was
you bugging
a lot of hours.
How much calories do you burn through?
I mean, I don't know. A lot.
Like, cause I can just imagine.
Cause
what's your diet
season, like? My diet. So right now,
cause like athletes, they got different diet. What's a performer's diet?
I mean, honestly, it really depends on the person and like what they feel like they need to function. But me, like I'm like a little complicated because I just became gluten free a few years ago.
Oh, why is that?
Because I have psoriasis, and at the point I had like a psoriasis outbreak like all over my body.
Sister did too.
And so like I went to go see someone about it, and they asked me if I was eating gluten still, and I was, and they said that can like irritate it and like what's the word I'm looking for?
Spark it.
Yeah,
basically.
So like it can trigger it. That's the word. It can trigger it. So I gave up gluten, and then last year I was vegan for a while, and now I call myself vegan because I'm a fake vegan because I still be eating like fish mostly. And so yeah, but in terms of my diet, I mean, like usually during the day I always have a smoothie. Like for breakfast I always have a breakfast smoothie and gluten-free oatmeal and a banana and coffee. And then if it's during the season, like for lunch, I'll try to have like sweet potatoes and beans and veggies for lunch. And for dinner, just like rice, beans, more vegetables, or like whatever, like in type of like impossible, whatever I find. But in between, a lot of snacks, like a lot of banana nuts, tons of water, obviously, like all those like kind bars and all that stuff.
So, when you're dancing, do you ever like still get nerves? Like when you're performing?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know why I keep saying dancing. It's performing. Jesus. When you're performing, does it like those nerves, like do you know how to control them now? But how was it when you first started dancing? How did you like performing? How did you feel about it? Like,
yeah, I mean, at first, honestly, I did not know how to control it. I think like, I don't know. I feel like in college we would get nervous, but you're on stage with your friends and stuff, you know what, like it didn't really feel that like treacherous. But then once I started dancing like professionally full time, that shit was definitely anxiety provoking as fuck.
Like I can only imagine, like,
you know, especially like my first year, because that year like I was like the only new one in the company and I was the youngest one and all that stuff. So it's just like this like fake pressure that you build in your head too.
And they're probably looking at you like, bro, we don't even care, just do your best.
Yeah, exactly. Like everyone's like, oh, everyone fucks up, you know what I mean? So
you're like, no.
Yeah. So, but you know, it was like my first job and stuff like that. Yeah. So I would, and just like the choreography was always just very specific. And I mean, all choreography is very specific, but it was just like, it felt like a lot. But yeah, I mean, I still get nervous. I think, I found out my like pre-show, my like personal pre-show ritual, you know what I mean? That just like puts me in a good place. Cause at the end of the day, like you're always, at least for me, like I feel like I'm always going to have nerves. I won't necessarily always be nervous, but I know that I'm always going to have some type of energy before performing. Cause it's just the anticipation, you know? So yeah, just like finding out my like pre-show ritual is what's helped me kind of maintain that under control.
Okay, so basically, so as you got older, and you went to college to perform, to become a performer. And can you explain to maybe like, a high school student or somebody who's, who's trying to enter the world of performance and like auditioning, how does that work for somebody who's doing that?
Yeah, so
Because I would like to know too. Shit.
I'm sure that it's shifted a little bit now, especially with COVID. I'm sure that like me and my friend were just having this conversation about like how much things in the industry are going to change after COVID. But
Everywhere.
yeah. But the audition process, like, I mean, obviously you choose the schools that you wish to audition for. Do research on their program if it's like the type of program that you want to get into, because some programs are more like modern dance based, other programs are more like commercial based, others are more like improvisation and composition, you know what I mean? So just like deciding what type of school you want to get yourself in. Some are like conservatory schools where like most of your classes are, or not most, like all of your classes are just about your art, you know what I mean, as opposed to like a university where you still have to take like general eds like with like actual people and not dancers. So
would you recommend taking general ed with regular people? Those type of classes?
Well, I mean, that was my experience, you know what I mean? So I mean, conservatory definitely gets more training because I mean, you're in the world 24/7, but it was also nice to go to a university just because like you still get to have like that like real like college life, you know what I mean? And like that's why like, you know, I was able to pledge, I was able to like be a part of all these different organizations and stuff like that that I know I probably wouldn't have if I went to a conservatory.
Exactly.
But yeah, so you have to audition, you have to like register to audition, and then you usually have to go in and take at least 1 or 2 classes the day of the audition. Usually a modern class and a ballet class, or at least that's how it was for my program, a ballet class and a modern class. And then some schools do cuts per class, other schools just like do cuts at a certain part of the day. So usually maybe they'll do a cut and then you have to also show a solo. So you have to prepare a solo. And then some schools like interview the student to just like get to know them more personally. So that's like the audition process. And then you have to do that like for every school that that you want to audition for.
So you have to go travel to those schools. So like, for example, if you were like, I want to go to Miami University and they got a great dance, so you have to travel to Miami and go dance there, or?
Yeah, I mean, I know some schools have like video submissions too.
Oh, okay.
And I think like maybe like you'll have to record yourself doing like a ballet combination, and like maybe they'll like tell you what type of combination to do and stuff like that. Especially like for international students and whatnot, I doubt that they're coming in from like
France to come
France.
to Miami to be a dancer.
Yeah, and then like also come back to have to go to New York or something like that, you know? So.
Exactly. So how does the audition process, like how does it go? Like how does that for like somebody who's trying to dance and doesn't know how to do it, like how would they go about that?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of different types of auditions. So I think the most important thing before even getting into the audition is just like really researching what you're auditioning for and being prepared for like how to show up for the audition, you know what I mean? Like you don't want to show up to an audition wearing like leotard and tights and then and then you're learning like a street, you know, a street jazz combination or something like that, you know. So everyone around you has like all these like fitting clothes and, you know, you look like you're taking the wrong class. So you want to know what to show up in, what to bring to, like maybe you need specific shoes for the audition. Maybe you need to bring sneakers. Maybe you need to bring a ballet shoe. Maybe you need to bring a jazz shoe. Maybe you have to dance barefoot, you know? So being prepared for that. And then usually, I mean, it depends. Some auditions, you have to take a class. Other auditions, they just throw you phrase work, like they just throw you movement. So then they teach it to you and you learn it, you execute it usually in groups, like, or maybe they'll have everyone do it all together at first and then they'll break you down into smaller groups and, you know, you have your big number that's pinned on to whatever you're wearing. And yeah, you get in there, you learn the choreography. Sometimes they do cuts throughout the day, like I said. If you make it all the way through the audition, then you have callbacks usually. So then you come back for a second day, and it's a smaller group.
Okay.
And you know, sometimes they'll tell you to repeat things that you learned, like especially like for retention purposes, I guess. So you definitely, if you're gonna go to that callback, you want to make sure that you review the stuff that you already did, just in case. I mean, you might not always need it, but just in case you do,
have it in your arsenal.
Yeah, you know, because chances are they're gonna ask you to do it again, and then you learn more. And then at the end of the day, sometimes they, you know, say who they hired like right there, or I mean, they won't usually do it in front of you, but you know, like, okay, great, thank you everyone for coming, or like they'll ask 1 or 2 people to stay or something like that. Or if not, they'll just be like, all right, great, like, thank you, like, we saw everything we need to see, like, we'll reach out to you.
That means, oh, y'all sucked.
No, that's the worst, though, because then you're waiting for someone to hit you back or not.
that shit hits
like,
different.
You know, so you're just, like, going crazy, like, every time your phone rings. You're like, no, it's not that.
But question that I have, how do you come back when you don't get that call back? Or that moment that you don't get that call back? What do you like do? Do you like sit back and then you go watch film basically on yourself and be like, oh man, I see where I messed up. I see why they didn't want me there because I didn't do that dance that specific way or like that. How do you come back that, like with your ego and everything? Like
honestly, I mean, rejection is a part of the job, you know? So that's something that was always told to me too, like while I was training. It's just you're gonna hear way more no's than you're gonna hear yes.
So when you do get that yes.
Exactly. But when you do get that yes, you know, God willing, then that opens all the doors for you, or a lot of doors for you. So yeah, just knowing, like going in there, knowing that, not necessarily expecting to hear no, because I don't think that that's healthy either. But just like going about it differently. Like when I go to an audition, I try not to think of it as like, oh my God, I'm getting this is an audition for a job or whatever. Like I'm just like going in there to take a class. Like I'm just going in there to learn. I'm going in there to share. And then whatever comes from that happens. Like if I get a job from it, great, I got the job. And if I didn't, well, I was able to take a cool class and I met people and I did something with my day.
Exactly.
You know, like you got to give yourself credit for showing up anyway. And yeah, I mean.
Are you your own worst critic?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You're probably like, you're so shit.
It's crazy. It's crazy because I remember, like, even now, sometimes I look at older videos of me, like, in college, especially.
And you're like, look at this motherfucker. He can't even dance. Look at this fool.
So, yeah, like, during the time, like, while I was in school, I was like, oh, gosh, you know what I mean? What am I doing? I look crazy. And then, like, fast forward a couple years later, I would look back to the same video and I'd be like, oh, okay. Like, I'm like, damn.
It wasn't that bad.
All right.
Like, it wasn't that bad.
But I mean, it's just you're your own worst critic.
I feel like watching film of yourself is like drinking wine. You like it more the older you get. Like, the older it gets, it's like, yo, the wine tastes better. It's like, oh, shit, I like my video. Like, if you watch something from, like, years back, back then you weren't thinking you was fire. Like, you was probably like, yo, I look like a cornball right now.
Yeah, and then you look back and you're like, all right, but
I'm sexy.
You always got to give yourself a little more credit than you think.
Yeah. But speaking of, like, you know, being your own worst critic, who are your biggest influencers in this game?
Yeah, I have a lot of influencers and a lot of people that inspire me. But one person in particular, like the first person that I thought of is my mentor. His name is Earl Mosley, and he's a great man. I met him at Montclair State University. He was my professor there, and he has his own summer program called EMIA, Earl Mosley's Institute of the Arts. And from there, like, I met him my freshman year. And I attended his program and stuff like that. And since then, he's just been super, like, open
supportive.
About welcoming me into the dance world. And because, you know, you think about a dancer and you just think about, like, the moment that you're dancing or the moment that person's dancing. And you know what, like, he really taught me, like, how to kind of, like, build a life around it and, like, how to, like bring the human into and like bringing the human and the dance together, you know what I mean? So it's not just like, oh, you're a dancer. It's like, oh no, well, like you also have to go to shows, you also have to talk to people, you have to make sure that, you know, you're coming across a certain, not, you know, you have to be aware of how you're carrying yourself around people, like and little things like that they don't tell you in class, because you're taking a dance class, you know, you're there to
just learn how to dance, like basically just dance. They're not gonna teach you like.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
like there's not a sit down class like, yo, get your notebook out. This is gonna teach you the ethics of like how to conduct yourself for other like professionals in this world.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, and he's older. But just to see how he carries himself around the dance world and like how long he's been around, and just like the types of relationships that he has with people and how he like inspires and influences like dancers, students. That's just like more so than like the type of like dancing that I want to be, or you know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh no, like that's kind of like the human I want to be, you know what I mean? Like, or that's like the kind of human that I aspire to be.
Exactly. So, you know, I know you've been performing man long, and I know you've had your moments where you've had your bumps and bruises, but what are some injuries that come with just being a part of this world? Like, what are the like basic injuries? Like, you know, in football they get concussions, torn ACLs. Like, what's like the equivalent to that in this world?
I mean, definitely a lot of foot pain. I mean, you're on your feet all day, right? So I don't know. I mean, I feel like just your joints in general, like ankle, knees, hips, are like kind of the most things that are always bothersome with dancers, I guess you can say. A lot of shoulder things too, because you're doing like, you know, just I think more like I'm thinking about like my leg joints and probably my shoulders, but that's also just me. I mean, it's interesting. Everyone has a different body, but just like your pelvis is so important, and your back, your back too. Because I mean, there's like obviously so many things that are back and bending backwards, and you know, throwing your torso this way or that way. So your spine, like a lot of things happen to your spine and your back. Yeah,
I could definitely see that happening. How many hours go into like rehearsals and stuff like that? Like when you guys are practicing?
Yeah, so I mean, when I'm full time with the company that I work for, we're usually like Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So it's like all day.
And how much goes into that?
So you get in at 9, or you try to get there a little bit earlier to warm up, because we usually have company class, so we'll have class from 9 to 10:30. So you get in there early to warm up before class. You go to class, then we usually have like a 15-minute break, and then after those 15 minutes are up, like we'll start rehearsing. We either have to just like learn stuff or do what we already know and get notes on it and whatnot, or maybe like teach somebody else like your part. So you just kind of like figure out what you need for the performance, with who's in the space, and then we'll have an hour lunch, and then we'll keep on rehearsing for another like 4 hours. So it's a full day.
Yeah, because I used to, like, my father, I used to ask him, I was like, yo, how much time goes into that? And how much dancing? Like, what dances do you do? And he used to tell me, he was like, I used to do like contemporary dance, flamenco, ballroom dancing. He was like doing it all in DR, and the motherfuckers was different out there. So like, yeah, they used to like, because he used to go to Colombia like 24/7. Because back then all them like, you know, them drug dealers and shit, they used to fly out them dance like studio teams and shit for like, you know, the events that they were like, if they were having like a hotel party or whatever, they'll pay that company to come fly out, and they'll fly all the dancers in.
That's so crazy.
And then
what a time.
That would yo, you know how this motherfucker used to be like, he used to pull up with like mad colognes, mad shit, and people used to be like, yo, what the fuck? Because they used to get paid, and then like it was every day you was getting like called. And back then, you know, being an entertainer back then, it felt like it was like fun back then.
I mean, it was just a completely different time. It was but I actually just watched on on Netflix. I just watched the documentary on Studio 54.
Oh, I've been watched that.
Yo, what?
I wish I grew up in that time, bro.
Oh my gosh,
that's my time frame.
This is crazy. This is crazy. You know?
Yeah, I would have been arrested probably. I would have been one of those that was like, yeah, I went to jail. Yeah, man. But yeah, let me ask you a question, because like, yo, my father, speaking of like, wild time, different time.
Yeah.
He used to be a sucio boy when they used to hit the road and fly out. They used to be sucio boys. You with the elites, so like, let me ask you a question. Are you a sucio boy with
Sucio?
Where is it? Oh,
Sucio.
the elites out there. What's up? You a sucio boy when you out here in the road?
No.
Oh, he wholesome. He ain't a sucio boy on the road.
I mean, honestly though, it was
Sucio
a different time.
No, it's okay. I'm a part of the sucio gang too. Like but I'm a retired sucio. I got a shorty, so I'm a sucio with her.
Mate vale.
Sucio gang.
You better say that.
Yeah.
Nah. I mean, most of the time too. I mean, granted, at least in my industry and the type of work that I've done, I haven't really experienced like crazy shit like that because, also like you're there at the end of the day, like you're there for work and it's crazy now because it's social media,
Yeah, they be like, yo, look who I'm with. Yeah, OD real.
Nah, I try to always be very intentional with with where I'm at. So
yeah. So all right, now we're done with all this debauchery and this terrible stuff. Let's get to the real topic. Like, who are your top 5 dancers, dead or alive?
Top 5 dancers, definitely Clifton Brown, Matthew Rushing. They're both still alive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of Camille Brown. Let's see. I need 2 more.
Dead or alive?
Oh, I mean, I can't not say Michael Jackson.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh. And I am a big fan of Kyle Abraham's work. He's a great choreographer. And he's a great dancer too. But just like, yeah, those five.
Okay. And it's just right that I just ask you this too. So when you be doing your like if you're performing or you're just dancing, like in general, you're just dancing, right? I ask you this: what are your 5 genre of music to dance to?
I actually really like dancing to R&B, like just improving to R&B. I love performing classics too, though. So and a lot of these like old classics that we perform, they have original compositions. So it's always dope to dance to original work, just because obviously like that music would not exist like if the piece didn't exist too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's always exciting. I miss dancing like when I perform.
Would you ever go back to that?
Would I mean,
like just for fun, like would you do it like on the side, like?
Oh yeah, I wanted to actually. I wanted to get into salsa classes last year, but
I need
then
to learn how to
COVID.
dance salsa.
With Harold, shout out to Harold.
You gotta teach me how to dance salsa. I don't know how to dance that shit, bro.
I got you.
I got like 2 left feet when it comes to like it's weird. It's like if you know, like let's say for example, like me, I can't really stroll like that. But if I'm behind my line brother Derek, which is your cousin,
Yeah.
I'm behind him. Like I could dance, I could really stroll, like I could really do it. I just gotta be behind somebody who knows how they're moving. Like if you can't, like if you're not an all-star, I can't, because the way I work, I need to be around people who are just as like I need somebody better than me, like way better than me, so then I can move just as fast as they do. Because it's like a weird thing. I have like a weird like everybody be like, oh, you can't start at 100. No, I need to start at 100, and then I worked my way back down to like 8 to like 50. Right. But I start at 100 to go with back. It's weird. Like I have a weird mechanism of like train of thought. It's like I want to learn everything like right away and then just go do it. Like I can't.
I gotta learn salsa.
I have to. I gotta be able to move my feet. But since we're like, we're talking about dancing and stuff and giving like advice to people, what would be like an advice that you would give a brown, young, Hispanic or Black African American kid, advice to do like to get into this world and how to like go about it, like to a young 15-year-old?
I would just say,
and they're trying to also figure themselves out.
Yeah, but I think definitely you need to work hard, but you also have to like be proud and push yourself. I know, especially like for me, something that I struggled with for a long time was just like, growing up in kind of the communities that we grew up in. It's just like you think that you shouldn't, like you think that you're not deserving of like being at a certain place, or like you shouldn't even like dream that big because it's not even going to be possible. But you really gotta believe in your dream and keep that going and move from a place of love and have good intentions with how you do your work as well. Because it's not just about the talent. It's never just about the talent. It's about the whole package. It's about your identity and how you can bring that into your work. But knowing your identity comes from, or being able to like articulate that in an artistic way comes from being present in life and in its moments. And so I don't know. I mean, I would just say like stay present, stay focused, stay driven. Like always find a why you do something. And even if you don't know the why going into it, like have a why by the time that you get out of it.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy out here, but one thing I say about dance, I really like, it mirrors life. I mean, like all art does, right? It mirrors life. So if you really want to live in dance, you also really have to live your life and just
live it free and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And really get to know all parts of you, because that's only gonna inform not only your career, but just who you are as an artist. It all comes from who you are, So, and believing in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, and it's hard to make it out here. And even if you like, you just always got to do it. Don't be scared. I have a lot to say to 15-year-old, but because, I mean, sometimes we think that, like I said, sometimes we just think that we shouldn't be somewhere because of who we are. But actually who you are, that's the whole reason why you need to be in a certain room, and like you can and you will like change something or be a change, and that's only gonna make you richer at heart, make the people around you richer at heart. Just move out of place of love, move out of love.
And then like that was supposed to be the last question, but I got one more. Were your parents like very supportive of this? Because you know how like our Hispanic parents be like, yo, you want to be an entertainer? It's like, it's like you telling them, like,
no, it's like crazy,
you a vampire or some shit.
I mean, I'm really lucky and grateful that my parents were always super supportive. Like I said, they kind of convinced me to even like try doing this when I was in high school. They convinced me to audition for a college program. But they've always been super supportive. They went to every show while I was in college. If I'm performing around town in Jersey or New York, they'll come to the performance here. They haven't they're always super proud. Every time I get a new job or something, get a new gig, I always tell them, so we have a family group chat, my parents and my two brothers, and I just always tell them right away. So they're always super supportive. I mean, I think they've always just drilled in us, like, you can do what you want as long as, obviously, it's, healthy and good and stuff like that, but, also just work hard at it. Whatever you do, just, be the best. Try to be the best, or just work super hard at it. So, yeah, and I think they realized, I think also it helps that they've realized that, I do love this and I do take this seriously. You know what I mean? So they're like, okay, no, this is real. So they're always there. They're very supportive. I'm really grateful for that.
All right, man. You heard it here first. Baba Sucia.
Shout out. Thanks for having me, man.
Always, man. Always. It's always a good time. Yeah.